Hello, everybody. Parsha's Tetzaveh. Okay, so what's the idea here? I'm calling it Ahavas Yisroel without borders, loving a fellow Jew without borders. And as we'll see by the end, that is exactly what this idea is demonstrating. So this Parsha is unique in the fact that it's talking to Hashem is commanding Moshe many different commandments throughout the Parsha, many things that Moshe Rabbeinu has to do. And yet, to the great wonder of all of us, the Parsha seems to consistently avoid mentioning Moshe's name. And in fact, it is the only Parsha, starting from Moshe's birth, that till the end of all of the Torah, that does not mention Moshe Rabbeinu's name. And again, it's not because he's not involved. He is a very active part of this Parsha, and yet the Parsha avoids Moshe's name. You will not find the word Moshe in this week's Parsha whatsoever, right? The beginning is Ve'ata Tetzaveh. Hashem is saying, and you should command. It's a departure from the regular, right? V'yadaber Hashem el Moshe lemar. And the clear command of Hashem speaking to Moshe. Rather, we hear Va'ata, you. And the whole time, it's clear that Hashem is commanding Moshe, and yet without using Moshe's name. Okay, so what is going on with this? The Mefarshim explain what happened. That when the Jewish people did the Chet HaEgel, the sin of the golden calf, which was 40 days after Matan Torah, they just received the Torah on Har Sinai. They saw God revealed in all his glory. They literally saw God's presence, and yet so soon after they did the most serious of sins, they decided to serve a golden calf, which again they just heard from God's mouth himself to not serve any idols, right? To serve no one other than me. So what happened there? That's pretty severe. And yet what happened is Moshe advocated for the Jewish people. And he advocated that they should not be destroyed, and they should not be hurt, and nothing should happen to them, and that Hashem should really, truly forgive them after such an incredible act of betrayal to the God that just introduced himself. They just, right, Matan Torah was a marriage. It's a chuppah. It was a marriage between the Jewish people and Hashem. And then so soon after, they literally betrayed him. And as we know, that's actually why Moshe broke the tablets, the luchos, because that was symbolizing the breaking of the marriage contract, so that you can't hold the wife, the spouse accountable for the betrayal if there's no marriage contract. So that was Moshe's little thing he did there that was very powerful in this idea of, again, it being a marriage, and then they betrayed. So Moshe Rabbeinu said to Hashem at that time, Im tisachatasam, if you bear their sins, great, like tolerate it, forgive them, great. Ve'im ayin, and if not, if you don't forgive the Jewish people, machani na misifracha, erase me. And I'm actually reading this without the nakudos, so forgive me if I'm messing up the nakudos. I'm not reading it inside the Chumash. Machani na, erase me, please, misifracha asher kasafta, from your book that you have written, meaning from the Torah. So what Moshe said is, Hashem, if you do not forgive the Jewish people for the Chet HaEgel, erase me from the Torah. And what the Mefarshim explain is that words of a tzaddik are super powerful. Chazal teach us that Hashem is medakdekim tzaddikim kechot ha'ara. Hashem is very exacting with a tzaddik. So any action that he takes and any words that he says is Hashem is very, very exacting with their actions and with their words, so that so that it's taken very seriously. And therefore, words of a tzaddik, even if they are said al tanai on a condition, okay, so it's conditional, like Moshe's, for example, if you then, right, if you, Hashem, don't forgive him, then you should erase me from your Torah. However, even though it was conditional, because it's the words of a tzaddik, it still has an effect on the world. It still leaves an impression. It has a bearing on reality. We always say words are powerful, right? The words of a tzaddik are even more powerful. And so when, even we should be very careful with our words. And even if it's something that we don't mean, and it's something that we're saying, for pretend, or when, it's a joke, right? We really should be careful because words are very powerful. How much more so that of a tzaddik, when he says something, when a tzaddik says something, it has a very powerful effect, so that even if what they were saying was a conditional statement, it still leaves an impression. And therefore, even though Moshe's pleading on behalf of the Jewish people succeeded, and Hashem ultimately forgave the Jewish people for the Chet HaEgel, right? Which is incredible in and of itself. Yet, because he had said that, his name was erased, not from the entire Torah, because, right, that Hashem did forgive the Jewish people, but it left an impression, and it was erased from one Parsha. That is this week's Parsha, Parshas Tetzaveh. So this is the Parsha that was chosen, and there are other explanations and other shiurim of why this week's Parsha was chosen, but this week's Parsha was chosen to be that area of the Torah in which Moshe's name was intentionally avoided. What can we learn from this? First of all, we have to understand the incredible how crazy this is that this happened. Because we have to think about it for a moment and recognize that what is the Torah to Moshe? Torah tziva lanu Moshe, right? That we all have the association of Torah with Moshe Rabbeinu. And as we know, it's even called Torah Moshe, the Torah of Moshe, right? Moshe gave the Jewish people the Torah on Har Sinai. Torah tziva lanu Moshe, the Torah that Moshe commanded us. So this is Moshe's Torah that we're talking about, right? I like it, when he said it, Mechanina mesifrecha, right? Erase me from your Torah, your kasavta that you wrote. There's a lot of, he's putting it back on God's Torah, but ultimately we know that the Torah is intrinsically and extricably, I think is the word I'm thinking of, tied up with Moshe himself, right? It is the dearest thing in the world to Moshe. His entire essence is the Torah. And therefore, it should be clear to any thinking person that Moshe Rabbeinu would never want to give up, relinquish his name, his part of the Torah in exchange for anything in the world. Right? He is the Torah. The Torah is him. It's his essence. It's who he is. It's Torah's Moshe. There doesn't exist, right? A thinking person would realize Moshe and the Torah, there can't be anything in the world that he would give up his name, his association with the Torah for. And yet, that's exactly what he did. Why? Because that is all true. Moshe's essential connection with the Torah, that he would not give up that connection for anything in the world other than and except for when it comes to the Jewish people. That is all true and nice and dandy. But when we factor in Bnei Yisrael, Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, oh, that's another story. As it says in a Rashi somewhere in Bamidbar, Moshe hu Yisrael, v'Yisrael heim Moshe. Moshe he is Yisrael, the Jewish people, and Yisrael heim Moshe. Yisrael, the Jewish people, are Moshe. So as much as we said Moshe and the Torah are one, what we're going to see is that there's an even deeper unity that Moshe has, which is with the Jewish people. And therefore, when the fate of the Jewish people was in danger, Moshe did not hesitate to be mevater. I printed all these nice mevater mitzvah notes for my children. To be mevater, to give up, to relinquish the thing that he held most dear to him in the whole world, his name in the Torah, just so the Jewish people would not be hurt. So they would be forgiven and God would not be angry at them. Wow. What this demonstrates to us is the incredible, deep connection that Moshe Rabbeinu had for the Jewish people. Because seemingly, really, if you really sit and think about these events, he had every reason to not advocate for them. First of all, the severity of the Chet HaEgel, how extremely severe of an Avera it was, especially, like we said, juxtaposed to having just been married to Hashem, having just been shown Hashem's revelation by Har Sinai, they were just given the Torah in this most awesome way, and then they exchanged this God of Matan Torah, the God that took them out of Egypt, also, that wasn't too long ago either, for a golden calf. Like, what happened there? So, first of all, the severity of the Avera, you would think Moshe would have, every reason to not advocate on behalf of them. But also, Moshe wasn't even there. Moshe wasn't even there. Like, maybe, okay, Aharon, he was part of it. Maybe he could be like, say, well, I was on the ground, I saw what was happening, maybe we could justify them a little bit. And of course, Moshe wasn't justifying them at all. And Aaron wouldn't either. But what I'm saying is Moshe wasn't even there. He was still on the mountain, learning the Torah from Hashem, receiving the Torah from Hashem. And in fact, that was the whole reason that they came to the Chet HaEgel, because they were wondering, where'd Moshe go? They miscalculated. They thought he was coming back already. They miscalculated, and they thought he wasn't coming back. So they needed a leader. So they created this golden calf. But anyway, so that was the entire reason that this happened, is because Moshe wasn't there. But the point is that Moshe, it's like if somebody does something wrong on your watch, that's one thing. But if they do something wrong, somebody you're responsible for, right? Like your child, perhaps, right? And they do something wrong, okay, I take accountability for that. But like, if I'm not there, like a babysitter, I'm thinking a parent maybe always has a sense of responsibility, but like a babysitter, like, oh, well, I wasn't even there, I didn't see it happen. A teacher in school, like, and something happens by recess and nobody's watching, right? Like, well, let them figure it out with the principal. Don't get me involved. I don't know how that happened. And yet, Moshe Rabbeinu, upon seeing this incredible hate of the Jewish people after Matan Torah, he stood and he begged Hashem to forgive the Jewish people. To the extent that he put his own life on the line, his own essence on the line, his whole identity on the line. He put, everything that was dear to him in the world, the Torah itself, on the line. His name in the Torah itself on the line. And he said, if you don't forgive them, I want nothing to do with this Torah. Okay, so Moshe was basically saying to Hashem, let's understand this a little deeper. Moshe was saying to Hashem, if the Torah, this Torah that I represent, that I am connected with, that I am essentially bonded with, if this Torah that I just gave over to the Jewish people, and I am to give over to the Jewish people, does not make it possible, does not leave the possibility to forgive the Jewish people for even a hate so severe as the Chet HaEgel, I want nothing to do with it. And this is an incredible expression of Moshe Rabbeinu's deep connection with the Jewish people. And with the Jewish people, with Hashem. That's what Moshe was trying to bring out. Moshe was trying to bring out to Hashem that Bnei Yisrael are connected with the Torah. Moshe is connected with the Torah. Think of it like a triangle, okay? So yes, there is this essential connection that the Jewish people have with the Torah, and that Moshe, of course, has with the Torah. But what Moshe was advocating for and bringing to the surface, and his, his case, if you will, to Hashem, was that deeper than that connection that the Jewish people has with you, Hashem, with the Torah, is the connection that the Jewish people has with you, Hashem. So the Jewish people are essentially connected with the Torah. But Moshe was saying that even deeper than their connection with the Torah is that they are connected with you, Hashem. And as deep and as strong as our connection is with the Torah, what Moshe Rabbeinu was bringing out is that this does not reach the level of intensity and strength of connection that we have with Hashem himself. And therefore, this, what we call Mesiras Nefesh, right? This Moshe had this incredible Mesiras Nefesh, putting his name in the Torah on the line for the Jewish people, is ultimately what brought the forgiveness of Hashem for the Jewish people. Because what he awakened, so to speak, in Hashem is exactly what we just explained. That this depth of essential bond, this deep essential bond that the Jewish people have with Hashem is even greater than our deep and essential bond that we have with the Torah. It's like there's a discussion in Chazal, what came first, the Torah or the Jewish people? And of course, there's machlokas because everything is a machlokas in Torah. But ultimately, we say that the Jewish people came first. So the Torah is the Jewish people to serve the Torah, is the Torah to serve the Jewish people. Another thing that comes to mind is Yom Kippur. And Yom Kippur, as we know, is the day that Hashem said, Salachti kidvarecha. He said to Moshe, okay, like you have been advocating for, like your words, I will forgive them. I will forgive the Jewish people for the Chet HaEgel. And that is why Yom Kippur is on Yom Kippur, because that is the day that Hashem forgave the Jewish people for even a Chet like the Chet HaEgel. Why is Yom Kippur possible? Why is slicha, forgiveness, possible in general? Because our bond with Hashem is greater than our bond that is conditional to Torah and mitzvos. Yes, we are connected with Hashem when we do a mitzvah, and we are connected with Hashem when we learn Torah. But we have a deeper bond with Hashem that goes above and beyond what we do and don't do. That goes above and beyond, that runs deeper than our knowledge and keeping of the Torah. And so every Yom Kippur, that part of us, the Yechida Shebenefesh, the deepest part of our soul is revealed. And when that is revealed, our essential bond with Hashem is revealed to the extent that whether we kept God's word or not becomes irrelevant in that context. Because what is shown is that, well, we are bound up with Hashem. Our neshama is achilek Hashem. It is a part of Hashem. Can't get deeper than that. And of course, we want to reveal and express our neshama and our connection with Hashem through Torah and mitzvos. Not to take away from that, of course. But at the end of the day, a Jew that doesn't keep Torah and mitzvos is still a Jew. And when I do an Avera, all is not lost. Because ultimately my connection with Hashem runs deeper. And the lesson that we want to take from all of this is so powerful. It's the lesson of Moshe Rabbeinu sticking up for the Jewish people in the way that he did by saying that the Jewish people are more important to me than my name in the Torah. From here, we can learn what it means to have Ahavas Yisroel, what it means to love another Jew. Because this love needs to be for a Jew that did the greatest Averas of all times, as great as the Chet HaEgel. I'm thinking about how after October 7th, there were some Jews who couldn't wrap their minds around the fact that there was the Supernova Festival was this very, very, very secular event. And there were a lot of, Yidden who didn't know how to grasp that and grapple with that. And yet, if you heard the leaders of the Jewish people talk, you heard Rabbi YY, Rabbi Manis Friedman, Rabbi Simon Jacobson, they were able to set these Jews straight by saying, a Jew is a Jew. It doesn't matter if, and Manis Friedman actually said that there was an element of, you can even call like Avodah Zarah at this Supernova Festival, that they would go around like an idol. And he's like, I know everyone's going to be like, oh no, Avodah Zarah. And he actually brought out a very beautiful point. He said that what were they doing? They were making fun of it. Nobody keeps Avodah Zarah in that way today, right? They were dancing around this idol to make fun of it. And he said, perhaps this is a tikkun for the Chet HaEgel. That because when you make fun of something, you destroy it. So perhaps these Jewish people were actually doing a tikkun for the Chet HaEgel. The point is that it doesn't matter if they mamish did all the favors in the world. And it doesn't matter if they mamish serve the Chet HaEgel. What we learn from Moshe's name having disappeared from this Parsha is that the Yidden who did the Chet HaEgel were advocated for by Moshe Rabbeinu, to the extent that he didn't want to be part of a Torah that couldn't forgive the Jewish people who were involved in the Chet HaEgel. And that it actually even took an effect. And even though Hashem did forgive the Jewish people, his name was erased from the Torah, from a Parsha of the Torah. And that's how Moshe wanted it to be. To show us the importance of recognizing that what comes first in the mind of a Jewish leader, and as a lesson for each and every one of us, is advocating for the Jewish people. And that was more important to Moshe Rabbeinu than the Torah itself. than his name in the Torah itself. And this is the greatness of a Jewish leader. And I was thinking about how do we apply this idea in our lives? And I'm thinking how often we denounce Jewish people, other people, for l'shem Torah, for the sake of the Torah. This righteousness that we have when, this is the right way and this is the Torah way. And therefore, I need to distance myself from people who don't see it that way or don't go by that way. Or, God forbid, lashon hara. I mean, that's literally lehefech. It's like the opposite of the Torah itself is to say lashon hara about another Jew. So how can we speak badly about Jewish people that did averas when the Torah itself tells us that the most important thing is Ahavas Yisroel, right? What did Hillel say? All of the Torah on one foot is Ahavas Yisroel. And what does Moshe teach us? By advocating for the Jewish people after the Chet HaEgel, by his name being erased from an entire Parsha of the Torah, he's teaching us that there's no such thing as degrading or putting down another Jew for the sake of the Torah. That is the most backwards thinking, is what this is teaching us. You want to be a Moshe Rabbeinu? You want to be somebody who cares about the Torah? You want to be somebody who represents Torah, who identifies with Torah, who cares about their name in the Torah, their reputation in the Torah, right? What about that? Like, oh, well, my reputation in the Torah is not going to stand if, right, X, Y, and Z. If I stand with these people, right, my reputation, ayveh, in the Torah. You want to have a good reputation in the Torah? Be like Moshe Rabbeinu and put the Jewish people first. I'm also thinking in the context of parenting, right? Chinuch. we do so many things, l'shem Torah, for the sake of Torah, when it comes to chinuch, the chinuch of our children, giving over Torah to our children. And we make that the most important thing. And it is. It's what we want ultimately, is to give over the Torah to our children. And yet, if we serve that as if that is a goal of itself, forgetting that the purpose is the Jewish people, our children, then we can end up having very backwards chinuch. We want our children to fit into the Torah instead of the Torah being there to serve our children, to help them be who they are and serve Hashem. And of course, there's so much to say about that, but for that, I'll leave you to all the parenting experts of today who are really driving home this idea. But yes, so I definitely was thinking about this in terms of parenting, in terms of our reputation, and in terms of Ahavas Yisroel in general, to just simply recognize the importance of our love for another Jew to the point that we're going to put what we hold most dear on the line, that we're going to maybe even compromise what we hold most dear in the world for the sake of a Jewish person, for the sake of a fellow Jew. I hope this was clear. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful Shabbos.